Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Basement. I'm your host, Wyatt. Well, March is Women's History Month, but sadly it's not off to a great start, as a raccoon bit 2 women earlier this week. Thankfully, the raccoon was captured and women's rights are free to progress without being hindered by any sexist raccoons. There was also an article this week that's headline read, "Talking into your phone is the hot new thing in tech." That was a hot new thing in like 1876. Talking into your phone is no longer, pretty much everyone knows that you can do that with a phone. That's like the main purpose of the phone. Related to phones though, you've heard of texting and driving. Now get ready for answering a FaceTime call while performing surgery. This doctor from California was obviously fired and then went home to have dinner with his family while also doing his taxes. Big multitasker, this guy. And the CPAC conference this year featured a golden statue of former President Donald Trump. Now, I'm willing to look past all the issues of having a golden statue of a former president and just sort of address the statue and the way it looks. Because it looks ridiculous. This looks like a magic garden gnome of some golden random man. I don't know why they decided to make this. It looks like a crazy lawn ornament that some weirdo has outside of his house. And he's holding a magic wand. I have no idea why. And man who looks like a perverted 7th grade science teacher, Andrew Cuomo, has had multiple sexual harassment allegations filed against him earlier this week. Now, this isn't surprising given everything about him, but it has inspired Cuomo to release a sequel to his book, Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic. The sequel will be called Lessons I Refused to Learn as a Child, from keeping my hands to myself and respecting other people's personal space. Our movie review for this week is a cinematic masterpiece called Rubber. The only thing that might be considered bad about this movie is the opening credits, which do sort of take like a million years, but it's all part of the experience for this cinematic masterpiece. This movie feels like you went to 7-Eleven and for some reason you decided to buy sushi, and then when you take a bite of that sushi, it's the best thing you've ever had in your entire life. Some people might not like the beginning of this movie because it's just a tire wandering around the desert. My mom was one of those people, but I'm here to say that those people are morons. They don't have the brain capacity to understand why all those scenes of a tire wandering around the desert are genius. This movie is also great for people that have always wanted a tour of Southern California from the perspective of a self-aware tire that can make people explode with its mind. It also proves the long-running theory that if you're a self-aware tire that can make people explode with its mind, police will have a very, very hard time catching you. The whole thing just feels like a seizure, because like you're watching it and you know they're speaking English, but none of it makes sense, even though you should be able to understand it. It feels like the whole movie was just given to us by like a higher power. My favorite part of this movie, though, was the entire thing. I've probably watched this movie 5 times a day since I first saw it. It's the best thing I've ever seen. This episode of The Basement was brought to you by Joe Biden. Do you love twists and turns and thrillers where you're not quite sure what's going to happen next? Well, you'll love President Joe Biden, a man who's doing a great job at administering vaccines to the public and making sure that everyone that needs one is able to get one, but also, and here's the twist, bombed Syria. Who knows what he's going to do next? Thanks for watching another episode of The Basement. I'm your host, Wyatt, and don't forget to let me know what movie you want me to review next, although it's never going to be better than Rubber, and I'll see you next time.